Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuper, one rental at a time, back with my good friend Dion from Dion Talk. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, I'm doing great. I'm excited about this topic. I'm hoping I could read my doctor's chicken scratch.
There you go. Well, what we're going to talk about here is Dion saw an article I have not seen, but hence I get to ask the questions. Talking about 10 cities people are leaving and 10 cities where people are moving to. And Dion will share that with us and then talk about some things that he sees as traits or things in this article. So go ahead, Dion. I butchered that, but go ahead.
That's okay. So this comes out from Redfin. I like how they put their data together in articles. And where I do look at Redfin for the binder strategy, I do look at Zillow. I don't look at them as a way to find properties. I actually had to send out a couple of emails this morning where people reached out and said, "Hey, in my market, here's the one small multifamily I've seen." And I said, "Well, how did you find it?" Realtor.com. Okay, so you're not looking on the MLS. You don't have multiple searches set up. You have no idea how many small multifamilies there are, or houses with ADU and what they're called and how they're listed. So if you got that email this morning, that was my response. Search differently than on these platforms. But for information like this, I really like that they're tracking the data. So the 10 markets that people are moving from. And the reason I want to talk about this is because it explains a concept that I think is still happening.
Yep.
So people are moving out of San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York. Those are the three biggest ones, right? And then Washington, D.C., Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Denver. So those are the top 10, I think. I might have missed one, but I think there's top 10 in there. Big cities. So if you're seeing the biggest migration, you'd have the biggest populations to test from. There are other cities that are just as big that not everybody's moving to.
Okay.
So I think some of the people leaving, you would think, well, obviously people from California are going to a red state because they don't like the politics, and people from the cold are going to the warm. So here's the places where people are going to. This is there's a third metric that I think is the part where I'll have questions for you.
Okay.
They're moving to Miami. Makes sense. Going to red,
Sure.
going to warm. Sacramento. San Diego. Las Vegas, until they run out of water. Tampa, Phoenix, Cape Coral, who just got into the dirt. Like, that's where my friends live. That's where I went and spent the 2 months there at the beginning of the year. There was a before and after picture that looks horrendous.
Oh, no.
Northport, Portland, Maine, not Oregon, and San Antonio.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a couple cities that are in a red state, so that mass migration is happening. But here's the thing I noticed. Here's the thing that Redfin pointed out, and I don't know if they highlighted it enough. Most of the migration from the main ones, from San Francisco, LA, and New York, those three, most of their migrations were to Miami, Sacramento, and San Diego. And then out of the 10 where everyone is leaving, the most migration was to Miami, Sacramento, San Diego.
Interesting.
So I have an opinion on why, but I'm curious to hear yours before I color it with my opinion.
Well, I think what's happening there is it's all about quality of life and work from home. I think what's something the pandemic has accentuated, pushed, and now probably adopted for many, many companies is work from home, right? Again, it's funny. I've seen similar articles, right? San Francisco and LA are losing a lot of people, but most of them are staying in California, i.e. San Diego, Sacramento, some Central Valley. Cheaper, better quality of life, no commute to job. The city, specifically San Francisco, you asked me in a past video, what would it take for me to go back to a Warriors game, which again, they moved from Oakland to San Francisco. I was a season ticket holder. It was a bucket list item. I wanted to be that season ticket holder for the rest of my life. I paid a $50,000 PSL just for the right to buy the tickets. After 2 years or 3 years of going to the city, I can't do it anymore. It's unsafe. I can't walk there with my wife, my daughter, friends. It's like unsafe. I'm like, forget it. I don't need this. I'll watch the game on my big screen. So I think there's a lot of people that are doing it, but they're actually not leaving the state, which I think is interesting, right? But Sacramento is the second cheapest big city. Fresno is actually the first. San Diego is much cheaper than LA. And quality of life, you get a lot more bang for your buck. So I think it's work from home and quality of life, my opinion.
Yeah, so the work from home is huge, and I have this from personal experience. So I worked at the truck driving school, but then I ran a nonprofit too. So I'm helping people find jobs. Worked over 1,200 employers. So recently, I've been communicating with a bunch of people changing jobs. I have one friend who she has several degrees. Her main one is in operational change management. So she does all kinds of logistic stuff that's even above my head of running a trucking company for 13 years. She just recently changed jobs, had worked at Peloton as one of them. So that was one of the reasons for the job change. And we were talking about, here are your options. This is, you know, your pay, your benefits, your quality of life. Do you believe in the company, whatever, all the normal stuff. But really what the deal clincher was, this job is 50% work from home. So yes, the commute to where the job is not the best, but it's only half the time. So people aren't moving from Los Angeles to Gary, Indiana, because you can work from home all the time now. So yes, that's happening sort of. You can get a lot of 100% work from home jobs in the $20 to $30 an hour kind of thing, but really good quality jobs that pay almost a prevailing wage job, you know, $50, $60 an hour, still have a tie to the city. You might go in once a week, twice a month,
right.
but can now commute from San Diego, from northern San Diego to where the job is, from Sacramento to where the job is. So we're not seeing this mass migration of what I've heard over and over and over is everybody's leaving the blue states for the red states. And
yeah, I think you're right. I think there's again, I think when you really look in the numbers, and I'm a numbers guy, there's a lot of movement out of LA and San Francisco. But again, the disproportionate amount is not going to Phoenix, is not going to Vegas. It's going to Sacramento and San Diego. So it's kind of wild.
I don't want to ruin my brother's market, but he invests in a tiny little town called Rosamond, California, where I lived until 9th grade, I think. And there was like 2,600 people when I lived there, but there's 40 or 50,000 now, right? Rents are doubling from last year. They're not going up 30, 40%. They're doubling because it's right on the edge of LA County. So Kern County hits the edge. You cross the county and the whole main street is all big green signs for all the marijuana dispensaries.
Yeah.
And now people can commute. So the rents have literally doubled in a year there.
Wow. Rosemont, I need to check it out.
Rosemont, right next to Edwards Air Force Base. Yeah.
There you go.
It's got everything I would look for. That's why he invests there.
There you go. Yeah. Again, folks, there's a lot of talk track about, hey, everybody's going from blue to red. Don't believe it. There's certainly some of that, no doubt. There's certainly some people leaving high taxes, going elsewhere. That has happened. But again, I think a lot of migration is quality of life, work from home. So Dion, where can people find you?
In a week and a half, they can find me in Fresno, California. Yay! At the One Rental at a Time meetup on November 12th.
10 days, 10 days.
I'll be spending a week there. The rest of the week, I'll be going down to right by Kern County, LA, that place where my brother invests. So if you're around Magic Mountain, hit me up. Let's go to lunch.
There you go. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
Ciao.